Hi, I'm David DiCerto from Castletown Media. The wait is over. Get ready for my top 10 films of 2024, as always, through a Catholic lens. It's award season, a time of year when the film industry celebrates the best of the previous 12 months, culminating with Hollywood's High Holy Day, the Academy Awards, on Sunday, March 2nd. Now, I'll be making my Oscar predictions in a few weeks, but for now, I thought I'd take a look back and share some of my personal top picks of 2024. This past year was a good one at the movies, so it's hard limiting myself to just 10. So I didn't. Sort of. In some cases, it came down to the proverbial toinkos, so those close runner-ups get equal shout-outs right alongside my selections. All that being said, this list is neither comprehensive nor authoritative. It's just the opinion of this one, admittedly fallible Catholic film critic. Hey, I mispronounced Fiero in my Wicked review. Oh, and by the way, thanks for the tremendous response to that episode. And if you like these videos, click subscribe below. Oh, one last thing. There's a tendency among some critics that a film has to be edgy or dark or cynical or crude to be deemed serious, whatever that means. I tried to make sure the films I selected, though diverse in genres and subject matter, all share an underlying sense of hope and light. I want my list, in the words of one of my film idols, Frank Capra, to, quote, celebrate goodness and compassion. So, without further ado, and in no particular order, here's my picks. Let's start things off with one for the whole family. DreamWorks Animation's The Wild Robot, based on Peter Brown's children's novel of the same name, about a shipwrecked robot who learns about motherhood when she bonds with an orphaned gosling and fosters community among the uninhabited island's wildlife. It's that rare family-friendly movie that's charming and entertaining and intelligent in a way that doesn't talk down to children. Warm, whimsical, and heartfelt, this endearing fable packs an emotional punch and includes a moment with subtle pro-life resonances. Absolutely delightful. It's rated PG for action peril, but it's appropriate for all but the youngest, most sensitive children. Yet, I could have easily chosen Flo, an enchanting animated film from France about a cat that also finds community, only here in a boat with a motley menagerie of other animals, adrift a flood of biblical proportions. There's no dialogue in this movie, but it says so much without saying a word. This unhurried, spiritually haunted gem of a film borders at moments on the sublime, conveying mystery and wonder through captivating visual sequences that transcend words. It's also rated PG for action peril. Staying with animation, my second pick is The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim, from Japanese director Kenji Kamiyama, who gives an anime spin to the characters in the world of Middle-earth created by Catholic author J.R.R. Tolkien. As a lifelong Tolkien fan, this was a no-brainer and a welcome relief after suffering through Amazon's recent Rings of Power. With epic imagery and a stirring score that transported me back to the cinematic world of Peter Jackson's trilogy, the film offers a reminder that there's still a place for heroic tales, as its opening narration pronounces, that light a path through the dark. It's rated PG-13 and is best for teens and up. There were a number of films this year with Holocaust themes, including my third pick, Whitebird, a tender coming-of-age drama based on the graphic novel by best-selling author R.J. Palacio, set in Nazi-occupied France, about a young Jewish girl who is hidden by a classmate in his parents' barn. With shades of Anne Frank, the story celebrates kindness and the courage of compassion. The film is rated PG-13 for wartime violence, mature themes, and some language. My fourth film, One Life, also deals with saving vulnerable children from the Nazis. Based on real events, it tells the inspiring story of British humanitarian Sir Nicholas Winton, played in his later years by Sir Anthony Hopkins, who, as a young man, saved hundreds of Jewish children in then Czechoslovakia from being sent off to concentration camps. Known as Britain Schindler, Winton and his story beautifully illustrate how extraordinary good can come from ordinary people. The film is rated PG for mature themes and wartime peril, some involving children. Hopkins stars in another film I could just as easily have substituted, Freud's Last Session, in which he plays the famed Viennese psychoanalyst who crosses intellectual swords with none other than C.S. Lewis in a fictional meeting during World War II to debate the mystery of evil, the meaning of life, and ultimately, God. It's a shame this film didn't get wider play. It's a cerebral chess game that remains engaging throughout, despite taking place almost entirely in Freud's study. Laudably, it takes Lewis's Christian beliefs serious, giving them fair, equal, and respectful treatment. It's rated PG-13 for some wartime sequences and thematic themes, including conversations of sexual matters, some involving Freud's daughter and her same-sex lover. We've already had films involving C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien. My fifth pick deals with another of my favorite authors, Flannery O'Connor, brought to life in Wildcat, which cleverly blends biography and imaginative dramatizations of her short stories. Sadly, it didn't get much traction at the box office, but I applaud it not just for Maya Hawke's exceptional performance as the Southern novelist, but also for not shying away from her Catholicism, even including her famed rebuttal to a dinner party guest who questioned O'Connor's belief in the real presence in the Eucharist. This film is not rated, but it's best for older teens and up, as it contains some mature themes and violence. Next, we come to a new subgenre I'm coining, films with self-explanatory titles about lost children trying to reconnect with their families. I could have gone with the Depression-era survival yarn, Lost on a Mountain in Maine, which, if the title doesn't give it away, follows the real-life ordeal of 12-year-old Don Fendler, who must endure days alone in the wilderness after getting separated from his fellow hikers. Based on Fendler's memoir, this small but winning film is an old-fashioned boy's adventure tale that affirms family, forgiveness, and old-time neighborliness. It's rated PG for action peril, but instead, I'm gonna go with the World War II drama Blitz for my sixth pick, set during, you guessed it, the London Blitz. It follows the odyssey of a young biracial boy as he navigates wartime England and tries to reunite with his mom, played by Saoirse Ronan, after the child is sent to the countryside to escape the bombings. Ronan delivers an outstanding performance, and the film says some really beautiful things about maternal love and human decency, even amid the ugliness of war. The film is rated PG-13 for wartime violence, some strong language and racist language, and brief suggested sexuality. The next category, films that are predictable but heartwarming. I could have gone with Unstoppable, a sports drama starring Jennifer Lopez and Jarrell Jerome, which tells the inspirational, true-life story of collegiate wrestler Anthony Robles, who defied the odds and won a national title despite being born with one leg. Rated PG-13 for mature thematic elements and some strong language. But instead, for my seventh pick, I'm going with Ordinary Angels, starring Hilary Swank and Alan Ritchson, both excellent in the film. Also based on true events, it follows the efforts of a Louisville hairdresser and recovering alcoholic who steps up to help a widower drowning in debt raise money to get his young daughter a life-saving transplant. Predictable? Sure. Some may say overly sentimental. I don't care. It worked. In celebrating those saints next door, to use Pope Francis's lovely phrase, and appealing to our better angels, Ordinary Angels touched my heart and made me feel good, which is more than I can say for most films these days. It's rated PG for thematic elements, including some scenes of drunkenness. It also presents a positive image of fatherhood, Speaking of which, fatherhood is also the theme of my eighth pick, the documentary Daughters from Netflix. Now, there were a lot of worthy docs this year, but this one really stuck with me. It profiles incarcerated men and their young daughters in the Washington, D.C. area as they prepare for a father daughter dance inside the prison. It's a remarkable and moving film about hope and healing, regrets and reconciliation, sorrow and second chances, as broken lives and relationships are mended. And the importance of fathers is demonstrated with, at times, heartbreaking clarity, as is the devastating impact caused by their absence. It's rated PG-13 for thematic elements and language. Rounding out my list are two films for mature viewers. Number 9 on my list is Exhibiting Forgiveness, an indie film about an artist whose deep-seated anger is triggered when his abusive father re-enters his life seeking reconciliation. His devout Christian mom provides a welcome, positive on-screen model of the gospel's call for, well, it's in the title, exhibiting forgiveness. And while the ending doesn't tie a nice bow and try to tidy up the messiness of life, it does end on a hopeful note. The film is rated R for strong language and brief drug content. Now, for my final pick, I wanted to include at least one movie from the pool of Oscar nominees. I could have gone with I'm Still Here, nominated in both the Best Picture and Best Actress categories. Based on true events, this Brazilian language film tells the gripping story of Eunice Paiva, played by Fernanda Torres, a wife and mother of 5 who fights to uncover the truth after her politically entangled husband is abducted by the country's military dictatorship in 1970. Unfortunately, it doesn't touch on Paiva's devout Catholic faith, but nevertheless, the film is quietly riveting. It's rated PG-13 for thematic elements, including suggestions of torture, strong language, brief drug content, and partial shower nudity. Or I could have gone with another Best Picture nominee, Nickel Boys, an arresting meditation on racism as seen through the eyes of 2 young men serving time at a Florida youth detention center in the 1960s. Creative in its camera work, it tells the story literally from the alternating perspectives of the 2 friends, which takes a while to get used to, but once you do, it makes for compelling viewing. The film is rated PG-13 for thematic elements, racist violence, and strong language. But for my 10th and final pick, I gotta go with Sing Sing, about inmates at New York's Sing Sing Correctional Facility, who experience the transformative power of the arts through a prison theater program. Viewers, be forewarned, this is a raw and rough film with an R rating for strong language throughout. But it's also an uplifting and profoundly redemptive film that powerfully affirms the sacred dignity of every human person, including those behind bars. Made all the more impactful by the fact that, apart from Oscar nominee Colman Domingo, all the inmates are played by formerly incarcerated men. In 1967, Pope Paul VI acknowledged that when works of art portraying the human condition reveal a spark of goodness, then, quote, a beauty pervades the whole work, end quote. That can certainly be said about Sing Sing and all the films on this list. Now, not all the films on the list might be considered best films of the year, but in my opinion, they're films that best reveal that spark of goodness. There are more films that I wish I could have included, some foreign films that aren't currently available for viewing in the US, so I didn't add those. All the films on the list are either in theaters or available to stream. Well, I tried screening as many films as possible, but I can't see everything. So if you think I missed something, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. And be sure you don't miss my Oscar picks by subscribing to Castletown Media's YouTube channel by clicking the button below. Until next time, I'm David DiCerto, and this is The Catholic Lens. Don't miss a single episode of The Catholic Lens. Follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And for full videos of our film reviews, subscribe to Castletown Media on YouTube. Stay connected and join the conversation in the comments.